things seemed to be off to an auspicious start. We saw a little bit of the TV coverage after we got on the plane because they had the set on the table in the staff room. It was kind of an odd feeling because they covered the actual takeoff of the Spirit of 76, and we were on the plane watching the TV covering the takeoff, which was sort of fascinating. Friday, February 18th in Hawaii. The day dawned dark and cold, and has stayed pretty cloudy all day, with a fair amount of rain and a very cold, very strong wind. The President also mentioned he wanted me to go out and buy a large supply of Chinese mementos for him in varying price ranges to give to people when he gets back. So I'll do that when we get to China. And we act as a nation, or simply as a babel of voices. The President emphasized the need for close discipline on the press during the week, that no one is to talk to the press unless we decide to do so. That we've got to create the impression that this is a very tough bargaining session, not all peaches and cream. After we got to the residence, he had Henry and me come over, and we had a sort of incredible chat with Mrs. Nixon, who wasn't the least bit interested in getting any advice from any of us, particularly from Henry, on how to handle things, and kept expressing her own views on the Chinese, which are not very favorable ones, mainly drawn from the television documentaries she's seen, apparently. Shanghai from Guam, the President called me up, made the point that he doesn't want to use a military aid in the landing. He's very concerned that the whole operation at the Peking airport be handled flawlessly, since that will be the key picture of the whole trip, and he doesn't want anything to be blown on it. So I'm to work on getting every detail of that set out exactly right, so that there are no dangers of slip-up. It was kind of funny, when I had called Ziegler in here to begin with, I sat him down in my room, told him not to go up the wall, that he knew we had to be prepared for surprises and that sort of thing, and that he should just be calm, but that I wanted him to know that the President at that moment had left here and was over meeting with Chairman Mao at his residence. Ron was holding a tangerine in his hand, took a bite of it, getting about half the tangerine in one bite, peeling and all. He was, to say the least, a little startled. The toast went extremely well. It's a little awkward at the Chinese dinners because they have the glass of wine, the glass of Mai Tai, and a glass of orange juice at the table. And your Chinese hosts keep drinking your health in Mai Tai, and you're supposed to respond, which is not too bad until they call Bon Gai, which means bottoms up. And at that point, you're supposed to empty your glass, which I explained to them I couldn't do for religious reasons. And I did finally get away with it, although it was a little difficult making it stick, and they kept trying. They obviously delight in going all out on the toasting bit. That was quite an emotional moment. The President then made the rounds, and he was really charged up. He'd move very forcefully, take a firm stand in front of the individual, look him squarely in the eye, raise his glass and clink the other person's, take a quick sip. Then he raised his glass again and gave a little staccato bow to the individual, and then he turned, marched to the next individual, and repeated the performance. It was really quite spectacular, as America the Beautiful is playing in the background. That's the end of a very memorable day in American history, February 21st. Tuesday, February 22nd, Joe said to him that he had the band play America the Beautiful because the President had it played at his inaugural, and he assumed that it was one of his favorite songs. He then said, here is a toast to your next inaugural, which is obviously rather significant. I went out shopping during that whole period, and spent most of the time at the Friendship store buying, in fact all the time at the Friendship store buying junk, but still rather a fascinating experience, as they have a whole series of little stores with different kinds of pure tourist trivia in them. Some of it going up in price, however, to $40,000 for a jade ring. The ballet itself was, just as we had been led to believe, a complete propaganda operation, extremely well done. It was a rather odd sight to see the president clapping at the end for this kind of thing, which would have been horrifying at home. But it all seems to fit together somehow here. He had me up to the room afterwards, and obviously was very much impressed by the performance and by the music. End of February 23rd. Correction, end of February 22nd. Wednesday, February 23rd. When we woke up this morning, it was snowing, and it snowed all day, leaving a white ground cover, which makes usually totally brown Peking much more attractive. The president invited Joe to come to the guest house, and so the session was held here from 2 to 6. Once again, I went shopping for that entire period in a, at times, driving snowstorm. This time we went to some of the antique shop type places instead of the Friendship store, and it was very interesting, especially since it was in other parts of town where we had a chance to see more of the people. Tonight at the guest house we had a delicious American dinner, which was very thoughtful of our hosts, but they had a fish course, delicious fried fish, and then a steak, little filet sort of tournedos with green beans, carrots, and fried potatoes, and an ice cream in a pastry for dessert. End of February 23rd. February 24th. We went to the Ming Tombs and went into a little house there, in which they served a fantastic lunch, although it was supposed to be just a snack, but they had all kinds of meats, pastries, etc. Most of the pastries done in the shape of little animals of various kinds, and the girls just kept passing one after another, topped off with a delicious sort of chocolate jelly roll sponge cake. End of February 24th. February 26th. President wanted to talk to Henry tonight, but he's off somewhere and we can't find him. Poor Henry's had to struggle with that whole situation now. He sounded pretty tired, but said he was going to work it out somehow. End of February 25th, or 26th. February 27th, in Shanghai. Took a chance at the last minute and ran over to the Friendship store to get some of the potted miniature trees, and just about missed the airplane in the process. The president decided he wouldn't go to Florida, but instead would go up to Camp David after the cabinet meeting and take Ehrlichman along. Then he told me to make a note of the fact that Kissinger has worked hard, and I'm to call Rebozo and have him give Henry all of his phone numbers of girls that are not over 30. End of February 27th. February 28th. The arrival in Washington was extremely good, and the president did a great job on his arrival remarks, even though there'd been quite a hassle getting them done on the plane, and Rose went through a super temper tantrum. Then she was furious because Henry was spending so much time with the president and getting in the way of her getting the arrival remarks typed up and all. So that's the end of February 28th and the end of the China trip.